speakers. Welcome to Speak Out Club. Welcome to my podcast called Confidence Talks, wherein you learn how to speak confidently and rock it on stage directly from real speakers who have done it over and over again and who have mastered the art of public speaking in and out. Yes, so as promised, every time, every episode is going to be special, and I always commit to my promise. So today, the guest which I have invited is a very powerful personality. So today's episode is going to be like extraordinary. And yes, as I said, he's a very powerful person. He is a retired lieutenant colonel. He is the founder of Mission FightBack right now. There's a lot to say about him. Actually, when I saw him talking on a platform for the first time, I really got inspired. I became a fan of him. And today I am very sure that he is going to leave a huge impact in your lives as well. So yes, there's a lot to talk about him, and let me just read it out for 1 minute. Yes, so he has served Indian Army for 2 decades. He is known for his extraordinary work there. He was selected to be a part of the United Nations peacekeeping force in Democratic Republic of Congo. Also, he was a Minister of State in Uttarakhand. Today, he's famous for his extraordinary work for holistic girl, child, and women safety. He is the founder of Mission FightBack, and wherein he trains girls to fight back. He has been helping women fight domestic, sexual, financial, and emotional violence across the country. He has been featured by Gucci's Foundation program, Chime for Change magazine. He is also co-authoring a book along with his wife, Rashmi. So put your hands together for Lieutenant Colonel Rohit Mishra. Welcome, Rohit sir, to the session, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Priyankini. Such an honor to be here.
Thank you, sir. I'm really glad and honored to have you here in my show. And so let's get started. Yes, so my first question, Colonel Rohit Mishra, is that what made you start the Mission FightBack? What is the purpose of that?
So, you see, while I was serving in the army, I've served in J&K, served on the LC, served on the border, served abroad, which you just mentioned as part of the elaborate introduction that you gave of me. You see, the border, I always say, were peaceful area, because that is the place where you know the enemy, you understand the enemy, and they shoot at you, you shoot back. It's as simple and straight as that, and then you're trained for it. So you're trained for any kind of danger which you might have to face on the LC, on the border, whether you're doing counter-terrorist operation or any kind of operation. So basically, there's a certain training that comes with the fact that your life is going to be in danger. But when you come on the civil street, especially when I talk about crimes against women that happen in our country, there's zero training. So when I retired and I came back, I realized that the girls were not trained. My own daughter was stalked, and in a very bad way. She was hurt by her stalker. And I realized that as parents, there was sweet little that we were doing for our girls. So with that, Prabhais, I said, I suddenly found a purpose of my life. I was in politics, yes, for some time, but then the politics had no meaning. It didn't have any purpose if I could keep my children safe. So the idea to keep children as a whole, but girls in specific, to keep them safe on our streets, on our roads. With that aim, Raj, my partner, Mr. Raj Khatri, and me, we started Mission FightBack. The idea was to train girls so that they can face any kind of a situation at any given point of in time without really have to thinking. So what happens is when you join the army, what is the first basic drill which is taught to you? To salute. It's a salutation, and that is exactly what we teach children. Whenever you see a teacher or a principal, you say, "Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir." It also, so it's like, even when you get up early in the morning, you see your father, the first thing you say is, "Good morning, dad." It's like a drill that gets ingrained into your brains. If I see somebody elder, out of respect, this is what I need to do to them. This is how I need to greet them. Similarly, training also needs to be grilled into a person. So let's say in case if a girl is faced with a situation where, she gets married, and she is, facing domestic violence for the first time. What if she can protect herself? Because the moment you face violence, the first thing that happens is you're confused. There's a sense of betrayal. How can this person do this to me? 95% of the time, the perpetrator and a victim do have a certain kind of a relationship in a country. If you read the crime stats, the victim knows the perpetrator 95% of the time. So it means that the perpetrator is somebody who's like really close to you, or who you know, like a neighbor's son, a neighbor himself, an uncle, a friend, so many things. I mean, women face these kind of problems all the time. So the first thing is, like I said, sense of betrayal. The second is confusion. So what if there are certain drills taught to you that you can deal with the emotions later, but at least the physical aspect has to be dealt now in case if somebody is trying to grope you, somebody is trying to grab you, somebody is trying to hurt you, somebody is trying to pull your hair, somebody is trying to be, making unwanted sexual, overtures. How do you deal with a person? And when worst comes to worst, if you have to fight back, how do you fight back? If these drills are taught to the girls, I think they'll feel much safer on the streets. So with that premise, we started Mission Fight Back.
Wow, that's a big purpose because I really like the fact that you said that there's no point of serving or protecting the nation when your own child is unsafe in your own house or on the roads, right? So that's a high time to think about. I was just listening to your TED talk. I didn't know that you're a TEDx speaker, and I was just listening to that mass movement for safety of girls. You say that it's high time to talk about Beti Bachao. Beti Padhao is happening, but why is Beti Bachao? Right? So we really understand that. So we teach them the some basic grade system like what, because I understand that the now the basic really blind. Said that I really like the fact that you are working on to protect the girl children, like because the point which you said that like getting some medals and working for the nation and protecting the nation, like what is the use if your own girl child is not safe in at your own home or around the roads, right? So and I also I was just listening to your TED talk just now. I didn't know that you have done a TED talk just now because you told me behind the scenes. I was just listening to the mass movement for safety of girls, wherein you say that Beti Padhao and Beti Bachao, right? Padhao is happening, but where is Beti Bachao? Right, so it's a
Right.
good mission, it's a huge mission. So I just wanted to know that is there some particular basic drill which you teach you at an initial, which you teach them at an initial level, that you know how to react? Because I understand, because I know that people go blank, right? When this happens to you, you don't understand what is happening, and what to react is the second thing. You just don't know what is happening, right? So is there any basic drill at a physical level which you train them or teach them?
Okay, just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. So give me something. He
Yes, my question was that do you teach them or train them with some basic drills as to how to react at the first place, at a physical level? Like, is there something?
Yes, there are no basic drills as such. It's a complete package in itself. But in any case, the package will always start with speaking up. Speaking up is always part of the deal. See, I can teach you to fight. I can teach these girls to fight. But they have to fight the taboos which are at home first. In case of girls is sexually harassed. And like I said, 95% of the time, the person harassing the girl has to be somebody really close to the girl. What if it was an uncle? And if a girl goes and talks to her father and she says, okay, I feel a little threatened from so and so uncle, what do you think is going to be the reaction? The father firstly is never going to believe it, even if he wants to, because he cannot face the problem himself. So he hides behind the societal rules, right? So the first time, in case if the father does not listen to the girl or the child, the second time the child would be a little reluctant to go and talk to the father. So the next step is logically go to the mother. But in the Indian society, will a mother go against the father? Most probably not. So the first drill has to be that you have to teach the child to speak up once, twice, 10 times, 30 times, till the time people listen. So speaking up in any case is the first step of any fight. Now, I'll tell you something. Catch hold of any child, your own probably. Just ask them to stand in front of you and shout for help. They'll not be able to do it because these vocal cords, they get clogged. Sense of embarrassment. Initially, they'll think it's, probably the father or the mother's trying to play a game. But the fact of the matter is, when a girl or a person faces any kind of a situation where there is physical harm involved, they get choked. And especially in case if it is a sexual assault, then before they start thinking about their own safety, they start thinking about what is going to happen in the future.
Yes.
Now, a very small cases, like I'll tell you, let's talk about drills. If I get into a fight with somebody and somebody catches me by the collar, how will I deal with it? And in case if a girl is caught by the collar, how will she deal with it? You see, for a boy, if somebody catches me by the collar right now, I will fight the person. And what in case if this opens up like this? The zip opens up or my clothes tear. It'll always be taken as a medal on my chest. But for a girl doing something like this, what if her clothes tear? So for her, modesty is going to take priority over her own physical security. So the first thing a girl is going to do is she's going to protect her clothes. This is the difference between a fight when a boy is involved and a fight when a girl is involved. So what if there was somebody teaching a girl, this is how you need to fight, and it is very simple, right? A girl, any fight which goes beyond 5 or 7 seconds, the brute power of the man will start taking effect. But in case if a girl can protect herself within that 5 to 7 seconds, shock another person, push him, move out, she's probably saved herself. So yes, there are hundreds and hundreds of basic drills. These drills come to you with practice. If your parents take interest, if the girl's friends take interest, the brother takes interest. So on and so forth. So yes, speaking up is the first thing, the drills are secondary.
That's nice. So I asked it because I have two girl children. Like I have two Indians. Elder
Oh,
one's
I should have known.
yes, yes. So elder one is 12 years old. She's just entering her teens. So that's the reason I was asking you. But I think like you do have it only in there are women. That's it.
No. So what we do is we don't have a static place where we train the kids. We travel from cities to cities and schools to schools.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't expect the kids to come. If I have to train children pan-India, girls pan-India, then I cannot be sitting in Dehradun, which is a relatively safer city for child to grow in. I have to move to the cities where the problem is. So we've trained children all the way from Nainital down till Andhra Pradesh. We've gone to Assam and we've gone to Mumbai and Gujarat.
Okay, coming into the next question. So, as you have done a lot of work till now, to save the child and train them on how to protect themselves. So, what were the three challenges which you have faced till now to get to a position, to stick to your purpose and get to a position where you have trained a lot of, I believe that you have trained like thousands and lakhs of girls till now. So, what were the three challenges which you faced in this journey? The objective behind asking you this question is that I believe that in life, if you are able to overcome 100 challenges, you become 100 times more confident. So, as the whole talk is revolving around confidence. So, yes, what are the three challenges?
I'll tell you, let me start with the story, right? So what happened? We were in Gujarat, we were in Surat, and I was never a public speaker. I'm used to training my Jawans. And when you train the Jawans, the soldiers, you have a different baritone, you have a certain kind of this thing. You're an officer. Those men are known to you, right? But training kids is another ball game altogether. So I remember this time, Raj and me, we went to Surat for the first time, and there was this school. I think it was called the Gajera International School or something. So they had 3 boards. So they had children from the state board, the IB board, and the CBSE board. So I'm sure there must have been more than 1,000 or 1,500 children sitting there. And we had amongst us a lady who was very well decorated from the police force. So she was supposed to speak. She was the speaker. I was not the speaker. For some reason, the MC announced my name, right? And everybody's in a shock because I was not supposed to speak at all. So they said, okay, Colonel Saab hai, to matlab Colonel Saab is the person who's going to speak. So suddenly now I just cannot stand up on stage and tell the children, hey, I'm not going to speak. There's somebody else who's the speaker. So I just got up and I was shaky as hell because I just did not know how to deal with children, what to speak to them. So I just got up on stage and I said, how difficult can that be? So that confidence which was instilled in me by the army or as an instructor in the infantry school, that came back to me. And I just got up on stage and I remember the first mantra that the army teaches you, that whenever you're in doubt, whenever you need time to think, do two things. Make your talk very interactive. How do you make your talk interactive? Keep asking questions. So the first thing, the moment I got up and, they expected an army officer to, in his gruffy voice to say something. I just got up and I just asked them, how safe is your city? That gave me nearly 3 to 4 minutes to gather my thoughts and deal. And then I realized dealing with children was actually just as easy as it was difficult. If you could give them the correct answers in the first 3 question and answer, you had their attention. Right? If you ask me today, after having done 3 TEDx and having done numerous talks, do I feel nervous before every talk? Yes, I do. Exactly like the way, that before every operation, do you get scared? Do you feel fear? Yes, every soldier feels fear. It is only during that time that you have no space for fear. It has to be you, your confidence, your skill, and your skill in what? Communications. If you do not have good communication skills, right? I don't think so. You can succeed anyway. It's a very strange thing, but for my company here called Pin Code, we interviewed a girl yesterday who's just come back from Pune, a very smart young girl, and she's now wanting to do her MBA. And she said exactly what I wanted to hear. She said, sir, MBA is just going to be a tagline for me, for me to get a degree and say that, oh, I've done an MBA. But ultimately, it is my communication skills that has made me street smart. She's done pretty well for herself, earning her own pocket money while she was studying in Pune, doing real estate business, right? Her communication skills in English and in Hindi is what has seen her through. And I guess probably, I thank my teachers from school in Chennai and Kashmir that, when they would randomly pick up students and ask us to get on stage and speak. So that is what has seen us through. So it is the communication skills which saw me through the children. And then when I get on stage, then everything just turns blank. I don't look at anybody in the eye. I'm telling you, and it's one of those things. I don't look anybody in the eye. I suddenly start feeling that I'm Rajnikant now on the stage. This is my movie. I'm the hero. And when you start getting that confidence about yourself, when you start feeling happy about yourself, when you start feeling good about yourself, the confidence comes in automatically. And when you know your subject, you have to be very thorough with your subject. So that, anybody can ask you any kind of question. You cannot go with a written script. All the TEDx that I've done, I've never done any TEDx with a written script, though that is a prerequisite. Because if you know your subject, you have to just go and connect to the audience. You have to be true to the audience. You have to say what they want to hear. But what you're saying has to be truth. What you're saying has to have meat in it. The subject matter you should know. If you do not know, if you're a little sketchy about your subject, then you really cannot speak. So you have to know your subject. If you have all these things done, the confidence comes in automatically. And then you have to look sharp, you have to look good. You have to dress well. That gives you confidence. You have to have the right kind of, even if that means going to a salon and spending a mini fortune to get your hair done, please get it done. It's not everybody who gets to speak in public. And if you've got the opportunity, go rock it.
Wow, that's a nice one. So I really liked, and a lot of insight, like, I was going to say professor. Okay, Lieutenant Colonel has given us. The first one being you need to have a good communication skills, right? The second one I really liked when he said that you have to feel good about yourself no matter what. But that I feel that when I dress up well, I feel really fun. And at least every 6 to 7 months, I believe that I make sure that I go to a salon and I spend at least 10,000 on my hair. I don't care about the skin and everything, but my hair is very important. I don't know why. So whatever you do and it makes you feel good, I think you should go ahead and do it, right? So those were really like very good insights by Colonel. And yes, always think that I am the hero and I am the Rajnikant of my story when you go to the stage. That was a wonderful one. So that is so important, because if your self-esteem is low and you don't feel good about yourself, I think I'm very sure that you're going to mess it up on stage. Right. So, okay, moving into the next question, sir, that okay, how to deal with the fear of public speaking? So I think half 50% have already answered in this question, right? So any other inputs as to like what is that fear? As I heard you saying that you said that even now after doing 3 TEDx and after like doing hundreds of public speaking presentations in front of different audiences, you still feel fear, right? You are nervous, but I think that this is glossophobia or whatever term they give it to, the fear. So it will be there, right? Maybe, when you do it over and over again, the span reduces. Maybe initially when you go onto the stage, you feel nervous for 1 minute or 2 minutes, it will reduce to maybe 20 seconds, but it will be there. But the only difference between good speakers and bad speakers is that whatever is there, they still do it, right? Even if you're anxious, even you're nervous, they still do it. So any other inputs on the fear? Because I have seen my clients, they make that fear so big in their mind, right? And they are not ready to face it. So the kind of clients who come to me, they always say that, ma'am, if you tell me to talk one-on-one like this, I'm like very comfortable because I know my technical skills are good. If my boss tells me to address around 10 people in the group, I just say no. And that stops me from my promotion. That stops me. So, how to deal with this kind of fear. So I always tell them that you just make it big in your mind, but I don't know how to explain it. So yeah, go ahead and put some that.
I'll tell you what I do. The moment I get on stage, the first thing I do is, like I said, I don't go prepared, right? So, but even if you're going prepared, there's no harm. I mean, it doesn't make you a hero whether you're going prepared or unprepared. It's just how you are, right? What I do is I hear the others because my work is very different from probably the other speakers, So I have a lot of speakers who are probably speaking before me. So I catch their phrases. So when I go on stage, I do give reference to the other people or at least the context that they have been speaking about. That firstly shows that, yes, while other speakers were speaking, they had my attention. I wasn't only worried about my own, right? That immediately gets you connected to the audience. Okay, he's here to speak, but he was also listening, right? My opening lines have to be fantastic, right? My opening lines have to be fantastic. And then the opening lines always has something funny. Sense of humor is something that really connects you to your audience, right? So that is exactly what I do. So the moment I get on stage, I have a opening line. The moment your opening line, has something funny or something relevant, even if it is jingoism, you suddenly have people's attention. Number one, but it is a double-edged weapon. The moment you have people's attention, you feel nice about yourself, correct?
Yes.
Why I said in my previous statement that when I get on stage, I do not look at people. Because if I start looking at people, what if there were 500 people listening to me? Somebody could be tired, somebody would be sleepy, somebody would be yawning, somebody would be actually sleeping. So if you start looking at their faces, you start thinking that, oh, what I am saying is reflecting on their faces. While it might not be the case, they could probably be tired. They've had a long day. What you're saying is not a reflection of their expressions at that point of time. And what happens is then your eyes get focused only on those people who are not probably listening to you. And you miss out the other 495 of them.
Yes.
So I don't look at faces. Their expressions does not make me change my thoughts. But yeah, in case if I want to, so what I do is I even self-challenge myself when I'm standing on the stage. What is it that I can say that is going to grab their attention and that is going to make sure that the person is not yawning or not sleeping? So I say something funny and everybody laughs. In case if people are laughing, people wake up. When people wake up, I have their attention back. So sense of humor plays a very, very important part. Your opening line has to be fantastic. Your closing line has to be fantastic. Of course, the meat is going to be your entire subject is the entire meat. But if you can, keep sprinkling it or garnishing it with fantastic lines or something funny, something relevant, it makes your talk beautiful.
Wow, that was like, I think, a lot of inputs he has given on how to start a speech. In a small conversations, he already gave you a lot of pointers as to how to start your speech with some humor, right? And I really connected to one thing which Karnal said, that, the opening, it matters a lot. That first few seconds, 20, 30 seconds, matters a lot when you go onto the stage. After that, like, what is that first sentence? How do you open your speech? What is that first sentence you say? Because I relate to this as recently I was invited as a chief guest at an employee felicitation event. So the director of the company, he told me earlier, the event was in Sambalpur in my in my state, Orissa. So I was going there for the first time, and he told me that, madam, आप हिंदी से बात करना, right? Because my employees, they do not understand English much. But I have a habit of, talking in English. So when I entered into the stage, okay, hello everyone, good evening. So how are you all? The audience was like, okay, so I was like, oh, sorry, मैं English नहीं बोलूंगी. Okay, ठीक है, आप बताइए. How are you को हम संबलपुरी में कैसे बोलेंगे? They started screaming, they said, okay, kenta acho tume. I repeated that. I told, kenta acho tume. Oh, like, okay, they started like shaking their hands and screaming. So that is what, connects you to the audience. Like, I think as a public speaker, the whole speech is not about you or what you have ratified or what you have prepared. It's not your, it's about them. Right? When you start focusing on them, like, what will you do for them and how will you make them respond, right? In whatever way. I think that is public. Right? It's not about like preparing something, it's about being you, as you said. So yes, that was a wonderful input again. Yeah. So coming to the last thing, like, what is the last message which you want to give it to my speakers who feel that, okay, I'm nervous, I'm hesitant, I am shy, I cannot speak, I go blank, and yeah, the list goes on. So what is your last message to them?
You just have to have confidence in yourself. Just take the stage as a different world altogether, where, like I said, where you're the hero or the heroine. Right? I remember I was sitting in my last TEDx, which I've done in Alliance University, Bangalore. I had this gentleman who was sitting right next to me who was to speak before me. Ashish Rorane, he's from Pune. He's a biker, very renowned biker. He goes for all these Grand Prix and things like that. So he looked at me. He says, "Colonel, you look calm." And I knew that there was no calm, and there was an entire unrest inside of me. So he said, "This is the first time I'm doing a TEDx or any kind of a public speaking. What tips do you have for me?" I said, "It's too late for you to ask me because 10 seconds later you are there on stage." But I said, just go on the stage, right? Just don't look at the crowd. Don't look at your teleprompter. The moment you start looking at the teleprompter, your confidence goes down. Your mind stops working. It's like you're looking at the teleprompter and things like that. This Ashish went, and I think he did a fab job. I mean, his TED talk was excellent, is the word. So, I mean, when he got down, I said, "How was it?" He says, "Exactly like I feel every time before I start racing. You have that sense of nervousness." So this is exactly like that. This is your stage. This for those many minutes is your world. You have to go there and you have to be the hero there. That's your 15 seconds or 15 minutes of fame. But in our case, when people do public speaking, that 15 minutes of fame, which as per the phrase comes only once in a lifetime, we get it very often. So you're the lucky ones who get to speak. And in case if you can speak well, I'll tell you another thing. When I became an officer of when I got commissioned, my father came and did my paping at Chennai. So I asked my father, what is the tip that you want to give me, right, to be a good officer? So he says, son, you will learn as you go by. But the only tip I want to give you is, if you want to be a good officer, you want to be a successful officer, always remember that whenever a person salutes you, see, like I said, I started my entire conversation with you telling you that, saluting is like a drill, which is ingrained. So he says, your Jawans will salute you, whether they like you or whether they don't. But when they salute you, if they have a smile on their face, you're a good officer. That is the same thing for public speaking. At the end of your speech, right, if the public reaction to whatever you said is fantastic, a standing ovation, a wholehearted clapping, you won, because these are your soldiers. You are there to be with them. You are not there to, just make a mundane speech and get off and still think that you're going to get the accolades. You have to have icebreakers. These are the people that you have to connect without speaking to them. You're getting into their hearts at the end of the day. Like in your case, you went there, you did not know a particular language. You also did exactly what I said. The moment you are in doubt, throw the question at them. That gives you enough time to think. And you did something which they liked. You connected with the crowd. So you have to connect with the crowd. The only difference is, see, when you and me are into a conversation, I'm going to speak, and then you're going to speak back. Then I can get to know your mind. I can know what you're going to be talking, and so on and so forth. The conversation goes on. But when I'm doing public speaking, you are listening, I'm speaking. Could be a very boring thing for people. But if I can connect with you there, not by you talking back, by the smile I get on your face, right? By breaking the ice with the crowd the moment you are on stage, you won the battle.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Just be confident. Very few people get to be on the stage. You're the lucky one. And if God has given you something that you're getting up on stage, be a rock star.
Wow, that is a great one. So we got to know a lot of practical ways, like what you should implement as a public speaker. Because the biggest one out of the whole conversation, which I found out, is your connect with the audience. If once you're connected with the audience, you have won the battle already. So you don't have to literally push yourself and do anything, or you don't have to put in efforts. It will happen effortlessly, everything. Right? But yes, that doesn't mean that you don't prepare. You have to prepare a lot before going to the stage. You need to know your subject matter. Yes, and thank you so much, Rohit sir, for your inputs. And yeah, it was a wonderful session. It was a wonderful podcast. Yes.
Thank you so much, Priyankini, for having me over. It was great speaking to you.